All right. So I think we've both come black archetype for today, very spontaneously.
I
This was unplanned in the style conversation. Any thought behind your thing? Ninja, samurai,
dark mythic
dark
protocol.
mystic.
No, I just threw on a shirt, and I'm heading out after this, so I got a I got a short time for the call today. A shorter call,
Right.
short-ish.
We've we've had some good comments and feedback. A lot of people enjoyed the last couple of episodes on taste and style.
Ah,
Um, Not perhaps not deep. Sometimes we get many paragraphs like a novel chapter of somebody's love life that they send in to us via email. We didn't get a deep thing on style. I think people just hinted a couple of archetypes that they want to grow into, what they've been inspired by, but they kept it quite short. I think in this realm of it falls into personal reinvention or personal creativity. How do you create yourself as a new person and a new avatar in a sense on the earth? I think this is a good subject to keep under wraps for a man. Like this is part of your mystique.
yeah, I'm leaning into it more and more in my thought process. As I'm writing this second book of mine too. How mystique is the word that floats up to the top for me all the time. What is the mystique of a man? How do you create an air of mystique in your interactions with a woman you just met? And what is it about that dreaming quality that some men impart to women? That fascinates me, which is archetypal. Like we've been talking about, it's part of the style. It's part of the what you. It's part of the not necessarily what you say, but the cadence and the spacing and the lilt of how you say things for certain, and your vibration of your voice, which is a huge. I think it's one of the. I think it's one of the vibration of your voice that comes from here, as opposed to here talking analytically up here and my yeah. So um, I think it's prime. That's why there's you've heard various sources say over the years that it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you make them feel.
Hmm.
And it's a combination of the content of what you're saying makes them feel something. Maybe 20%, I'm just making this up, but 80% is the way it feels as you say it, which is part of the archetype. It's all mystique, which is a great thing.
Yeah. Could you give us, since you mentioned your writing, I mean, we get a comment every episode, when is your second book out? Blah 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 blah. I'm sure you'll be very non-committal about dates and
Um,
things like that. Could you give us a behind the scenes, not update, but
well,
we
yeah.
just put mystique on the table. Like what's something new that you're grappling with? Could you
Well,
share a little?
imagine I write an article on mystique, or I'm writing a chapter on mystique, which I am. There's so many hundred little tiny nuances that make that up. That to write about it just really just it spins my head because and I'm trying to write a practical book, more practical, right? Like this is how, which is mirrored after my What Would Zan Do um, live event, which is this is how I'm always in motion when I'm talking to women. Some guys are back in their flat on their heels and solid and rigid when they talk to women because they've been taught or they think that they need to be um, grounded and in place and look like you've got options or you've got the gravitas about you and that you've arrived in the world of adults and so they plant themselves and they stand with their hands by the side and they try and talk to somebody at a street light or in a coffee shop and I don't and I'm in motion and and it's subtle. So like my talking is like, hey, and I have a question for you, and what's your name? And it's there's a fluidity to that because she mirrors that fluidity. And my long standing quest here is how do I write that? How do I write that? There's a little bit of a hitch, a little bit of a jump, a little bit of movement, and I'm exaggerating right now because it's barely noticeable, but it's felt because there's an energy exchange. When I talk with my hands like this. I'm holding a ball of energy, metaphorically, and it certainly feels like I can feel energy. And when I touch a woman, I don't actually have to touch her. I can just reach out to her. I can't see my hand here. I can just reach out to her, and my hand's 3, 4, 5, 6 inches away, and I'm still touching her. It still feels like, and I demonstrate this by what would Zan do, and I do it to the guys. I say, watch, I'm going to reach out and touch you, and but I'm not actually going to touch you, and you're going to feel it. And so, how do I write this? How do I write this nuance of the fluidity? I can write some poetic thing about, you should always be in motion. But then guys are going to be going like this, okay, Zan told me to do it like, so I have to write a page or two of what it is, and then 18 pages of what it is not. Otherwise, you don't get the nuance, because it's the problem with my stuff is it's so nuanced. Like I take a guy when I do my coaching, and I just adjust that last 5% of his understanding. Oh, you thought it's this touching, for instance, right? No, it's this. Just a nuanced adjustment. And so you asked me about the struggle I have with the book, but that is what I'm struggling with. How do I write down these nuances? And I've got to trust the reader that they're going to get it, because there's too much. I would write a 1,500-page book if I tried to really just describe the details. Eye contact, subcommunication, the archetype. All of these things are nuanced. And if I say, your archetype is something that, guys, it's a struggle.
Well, we get a comment as often as we get a comment on when is your next book out. We get another one saying, "Zan, you got to make things more practical. It's too abstract." It's the oldest thing in the book, which is both true. It's a valid critique, but also misses the mark. And I think my comeback to you was going to be, you have to write a book that sounds and feels like it encapsulates the thing to you, and
Yes.
maybe to a small circle of people that you trust, that really get you. That's it. And it's like you say, you have to trust the reader, or it's on the reader. And I think in the Alabaster Girl, you did this impeccably. If you want to make this more refined and subtle now, like, it is on the reader to be able to pick that up, because if you're talking about more and more refined and subtle things, that's going to become more and more elusive.
Yeah. It
I'm
just,
not. You,
if I,
you can't make that more practical and then maintain the poetics of it.
yeah,
You
like I
either
could,
maintain the poetics and people feel it, or you.
yeah. I mean, I want this book is going to be very practical, but there's got to have layers of description of why of the practical. Like I could say, okay, if you're single and you want to meet a woman, go to a park, go to an art gallery. I could write a chapter on that, right? This is locations to meet women, very practical, right?
Number
Or
one.
right, or clean your nails and comb your hair and get lots of rest. I could do a really practical book, but it misses you guys are doing that. They're going to parks and art galleries and trying to say hi to women, and it's falling flat, or the women are not receiving, or they're still red faced, nervous. So how do you push them past the nervousness? So, and I can't write self help, as you know. This can't be a self help book. This cannot have a drop of self help in it, which we're because everybody's got that and everybody's used to that. I just don't. It has to be story driven. And the problem with the story driven is the other, because when I do my What Was Andrew, I tell all the stories, like all the ribald, all the raunchy stories that you can't see on YouTube. And it's fun. It's funny. And the reason you can't say them on YouTube is because the people are still alive that are in the stories, So it's like,
Mhm.
you can't tattle on certain things, and you can't write it into a book. I got lots of stories, and I can put some of them in a book, but some I can't, because they're too personal and they're too, and not that I'm trying to protect myself, but you have to protect others, so you can't do it. So, but it has to be story driven and parable driven. It has to be parables. So, and I write in parables. I'll say, there's a king in his kingdom, and I try and make these, generic parables that are timeless. And that's the other thing that I struggle with, because I want to comment on the sin of our age, which is this concept that men are toxic, that masculinity is toxic. And because I want to comment on it and say, don't carry that burden. to the man reading this. Don't listen to it. Don't be burdened down by that. Without naming it, without saying, okay, I don't want to use the buzz phrases of today: toxic masculinity, boundaries, all these words that we use. I want to make it timeless, untime stamped, and that's hard. It's hard because it's like it's hard to not make it contemporary.
Mm.
But I wanted to comment, that you shouldn't be burdened by this idea that masculinity is toxic because masculinity is divine. And I can say that, but how do I say it without commenting on modern society's buzzwords and phrases on it? I struggle with it. It's hard.
Yeah, you have a lot of constraints to work with.
Yeah, I wanted to untimestamp so that it can be it's timeless. But then if you talk about anything like you say, the normal woman will go on 3 dates, and then to get to know you. That's a modern construct. Or feminism might say this. That's a modern construct, and I wrestle with it. So you either make it really mythopoetic, and it's all knights and winds of blah 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 and warrior spirit and all that kind of stuff. But then you can't really understand what we're wrestling with today. I want to make a comment on today without commenting on it. So I struggle.
The Stoics come to mind as having achieved that. Like they do drop some things about, how to dress your toga in the morning when you're going walking down to the Colosseum to, collect
Yeah,
your bread and see your circus. But like most of it, if you read Marcus Aurelius or Seneca, they
timeless. Yeah.
tend to not really say anything about the age that they live in, and you read it and it could have been written now. I think that's why it has such an appeal.
But to imagine I'm writing this book as the man on the train, my man with no name, who had this discourse with women in the Alabaster Girl. Now he's having a discourse with men through this young inquiring man. That's the conversation I've set up.
That's the frame of the book.
Yeah, yeah. The frame of the
Okay.
book is the same man in a later time in life is now encapsulated and captured with this younger man who's saying, "Okay, tell me what you didn't tell the women." All right, I'll tell you all. Here's what I didn't tell the women. Here's the secrets I didn't tell the women. Let's go, giddy up. It's more fun and more raucous, etc. More practical. But because I want it to be like to the young men of this generation to read this, so you've got to kind of address what they're dealing with today. Like I don't want to say
Yeah.
something like online dating or digital dating, but it's massively what anybody who's growing up into this world, into this Western world, that's the whole paradigm. If you say, straighten your tie and go talk to the girl in the bar, you'll have a whole swath of young men say, well, we don't do that anymore. And so you kind of have to address the modern societal, the way dating has changed without actually mentioning it. That's to keep it timeless and untimestamped. It's not easy.
And digital dating might end,
And digital
right?
dating might end. And
In
by the
given
time I get
10
this
years.
book done, maybe AI is going to be so pristine that we won't be, the men will have virtual girlfriends and none of it matters anymore. Quite, you know what I mean? The way it's changing so fast. Like the the one timestamp thing I have in the Alabaster Girl, which is shocking. You never thought you would ever run into this as I was writing it, is that I mentioned there that if you want to, you have to get up your courage to go and talk to a woman to get her phone number. And then you have to, either memorize the phone number or write it down. Right? Like in your phone, for instance. But that's gone. There's no such thing as phone numbers anymore. So it's already outdated in my book, The Alabaster Girl. Phone numbers don't exist. They
Hmm.
realistically, even if we say it's a phone number, it's really just WhatsApp contacts that we're trying to get. It's all, social media contacts now. And like it's the toga thing, people understand. But, I just don't want to be contemporary in this book, but I have to lean a little bit into it to give that instruction to this young man who's trying to make his way and shape his life in this modern world where everything's changed from it was 20 years ago. So that's what I'm wrestling with. That's why it's difficult to write, because nuances, because I'm trying to untimestamp it and still make it really, really accurate and relevant for the young man. It's for young men I'm writing, and um, to take the practical things and how do you, I have this kind of like, and I can demonstrate it pristinely in my what would Zan do, and the guys do exercise with me. Just what I would do. You can do whatever you want, but if I'm in a park, how do you? And the girls looking at their phones now. They're walking along. How do you get noticed? You don't, unless you do something. And so, um, and so I demonstrate how I would get noticed in a bar, a lounge. I leave nothing to chance. I want all the women to know that I'm there without throwing ice cubes or, jumping on the table or being all loud and raucous. So, and how do you write it? That's where I struggle with. The writing of it is very difficult for me. If I'm just writing philosophy, like the Alabaster Girl, no problem. The practical stuff is really hard because I don't want him to get the wrong idea. And Zan says to touch women, so they're going around touching. It's not good because it isn't what I'm doing. I'm not touching them. I'm energetically transferring something.
Well, this is the first time I've heard this actually, and it is quite beautiful that you said it. So for many years, you've said, "Oh, I would touch a woman maybe five or
Right.
10 times, and she doesn't even realize that I've touched her because it's imperceptible." And then a lot of people have come back to you and said, "Well, actually, um, that's all well and good, but maybe 10 years ago, because now I don't think I can even touch. If I give this little kind of grace, like slip of the elbow or something like that, then already that's personal space infraction." So it sounds like even your touch, and you would teach it as touching her physical body over the years,
Yeah.
now is like you're working in the energy realm. You're working with the
Yeah.
subtle, just with the chi,
That's
giving
right.
a
Whatever the
little
qigong, right?
energetic nudge. Okay, so even you've graduated into the energy arts.
Yeah, I haven't changed it because I'm getting more precise because even back in the day, I mean, I wasn't like when I talk touch, I was always saying it's a feather, it's a feather, it's a hovering, it's a magician, uh, you know, doing something over here while he's redirecting you over here, and he's taking something from behind your ear. There's a softness to it and an untouched touch to it. Like but it's a hover, and I was doing that back then too, and I wrote that. I thought I captured that, but the nuance of it is so important, and it's because it is like an energetic quantum type of transference of. It's the same thing as physically touching them, but I don't actually physically touch them.
But the hand motions.
The motions are the same. Like I'm
Okay,
saying,
so
hey,
that your hand goes out like here, yeah,
yeah,
or
yeah,
maybe close to the side of
yeah,
her or in her lower back, but maybe stops a few inches out.
yeah,
But it's like your intention or your intent, your conscious intent
yeah.
lands in that place.
It's like, and I show the guys in my event. They can be all sitting like 10 guys in chairs like this, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to say something to you, and you're going to like it. And I'm 6 feet away, and they can feel this. You feel it. You can't really see it right now, but I can say, hey, here's a great idea. Here's a story. You're going to love it. And that's a touch. I'm touching them. I'm bringing them in. And it's 100% energetic, and it's real. And how do I do that?
Hmm.
How do I write that? Stick, because I reach right out. Like I don't half-ass it with my elbow like this. I'm like, hey, what's your name? I didn't meet you girls yet. What's your name? Like this. I can't really demonstrate it here, but I'm reaching out, and then my hands on my heart at some point, and there's all these little gestures I do that I've come to know over the years because they're so automatic.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I come to know them from guys saying, you know what I noticed you did when you talked to the two girls in this class, and this, when you talk to the girls, um, you this is something. You're leaning in to ask their names, your hands on your heart, to because I'm now violating your space, but I'm not really because I'm graciously holding it back, and we can feel the difference. And if I go like this without my hand on my heart, what an invasion of space it feels like. And when you get in close to reach out and kind of virtually touch them, but you're not really touching them. You're leaning way back, and this is observable and observed and real. And I'm thinking that's it. And so it's getting refined and refined and refined and refined. And how do you write all the specificities of that? Because it's so subtle. And when women arrive into a room, I can demonstrate it. Like I'm talking to you, Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Hey, my voice has come from here. We're having a laugh. We're talking about where to go for dinner. As soon as women arrive into the space, something in me downshifts. I don't go
Yeah.
like, hey, Jordan. But something in my energy downshifts. I get on the balls of my feet. I become like a boxer stance. I can feel it. And I can feel this movement. Here we go. The girls are here. Something is afoot. Let's go. And Jordan, look at the girls are here. Here we go. And I get this little rhythm in me that's ready to pounce in a glorious way. How do I write all that down? even if I took this transcript of what I just said and put it into a book, guys can go, well, Dan said to do this, and so I'm doing, and yeah.
Yeah, people will complain that it was all fluff and I didn't get anything practical out of it, even though you just dropped 400 pages of this kind of thing.
Even though I am completely 100% energetically communicating with the women from across the way with my body
Yeah.
stance, with my language, I'm 100%. They see it, they feel it, they know that I see them. They recognize that there's somebody here who's ready to have who understands. But guys
So
will never. Guys don't get it.
it's been clear to me. So I know you're talking about something that makes it difficult for you to write in your next book, some of your writing challenges. I'm listening to this thinking, okay, what of what you're sharing right now is useful to the men listening to this that want some practical things that they can explore, right? Like today in this episode. So this whole subject of what your hands are doing
Yeah,
is rich, right? So I've always thought,
huge.
or I've always seen that you are like a shaman or a sorcerer with how you direct attention and energy in the room. So you have two hands, you have your eyes, and with these three kind of tools, you can point with your eyes and one over here. You can point with a hand over here. You can point with another hand over here. It's almost like the guy, who's like, it's illegal everywhere, but you see them all over the world. The guy with the ball and the three cups, and he's
Yeah,
doing this swapping the ball and the cups on the
for
street.
sure.
Like you're like this guy, and you've got a whole horde of people around you, and you're like, okay, where's the ball? Follow the ball. Follow the ball. Follow the
Yeah,
cups. Follow the ball, not my hands. Follow the ball. Where is it, right? And they pick on this one, and there's no ball there, and you take their money. It's like that kind of dexterity. So you've already said when it comes to what you do with your hands, expression of aliveness, you're taking charge of where attention goes in the room. So if
yeah,
I hold up a little bit of bait, say I've got a little fish over here, and I put that up here, and I can have another one down here. I can put another one up here. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
point,
yeah.
look over, look at that, look at that, look at you know. Uh, Look at Johnny, he's got a new hat on today. Look at that hat over there. And then the other hand does something like that. And the eyes are darting around. It creates this scenario where you don't know what you're going to do next. So you
You're
already
not
start directing people's attention.
for sure. I'm 100% directing and redirecting, but you never disconnect. That's incredible. You can be sitting across from a woman on a date, and you can be looking up here, and your hand over here, and she's across from you, and there's no disconnection. It's 100% laser focused on her. And when you describe this to guys, they're like, "Huh? So what?" And I know this because you see the guys nodding in the audience when I'm saying these types of things. I say, "Okay, stand up, Albert. Come stand up beside me here. Now I want you. Here's our girls over here. I want you to energetically communicate this. What I want you to communicate without saying any words." And they're stiff as a board, and they're not because they're nervous from the group, but they just don't know how to access that smoothity, that smooth, that expressiveness, and they just kind of like
I hope you're not putting words like that in your book.
I tell guys, yeah, I tell guys, we,
Smoothidity, what's that?
yeah.
We're gonna new theme.
I remember a
Sorry.
photographer told me, like a fashion photographer said, if you want to have a nice smile in a picture, laugh. Like don't
Uh-huh.
grin, like this, right?
Okay.
And I tell the guys, in the exercises, okay, all I want you to do is like look at these two girls, and when they notice you, when they're going to turn and look, this is an exercise, part of the exercise to do. I just want you to smile like you like life, that you like that there's pretty girls in the world, and it's a good night, right? And they're grinning away. They can't get into that bodily mirth filled enjoyment smile with their eyes and everything, because they've been taught that you should be straight faced and serious and look like you're cool, and all that kind of stuff. And they think that it's over the top, that I'm looking like a fool. I'm looking like a clown if I have this really expressive smile and enjoying life and stuff like that. And I mean, there's lots of stuff, man. There's lots of nuances, and like, no, it's the opposite of what you think. The stuff I'm teaching that I've come to understand is not just a layer of adjacent to what people have learned or an extension of it. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of what they've been taught. I can compliment women, which we're taught we can't do in this modern age, because of the way I do it, because of the tonality and the way and the sincerity and the kingship I own as I say it. And I'm writing about that right now, and it takes like pages and pages and pages to describe it. It's incredible, man. Because I could write a philosophical book that says, "Here's the spirit of it,"
Yeah.
but then it doesn't get the practicality of like, where do you actually stand, and like, how do you get noticed when women are looking at their phones? What do you do?
Well,
Right?
that was
Philosophically,
the
you
next
say,
question.
well, yeah,
That was my next question I wanted to ask you. So I'm just going to do a recap in case this flew by and people didn't get it. But you're embodying just with the hands, on the topic of hands, which is a huge topic, right? You are embodying contradictory movements. So
yes,
you'll lean in with your body, but you'll place a hand on the heart or the chest. That's almost saying like, uh, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's also a kind of defense. I'll lean into you, but there's also a marker of restraint coming back.
yeah. It's not
So that
not apology. It's just saying that I am not invading your space. I'm still gracious. There's
yeah.
no apology in it at all. I'm definitely right here talking. Hey, I'm right in on your face, but I'm also graciously. I'm signaling to you that I am not invading your space. It's incredible, man. Because if you do it without that, it's a huge difference.
Now, when the hand does go over there and invade her space, the rest of the body is backing off.
Yeah, I got so much of that. I have so many demonstrations of that, and the nuances, and the feel and flow, and could you write that
When you point out there to some starry night or horizon, the
direction?
other
Yeah,
hand sneaks up the back or the behind, or the shoulders come together or something like that. So I'm not just pointing out there, but I use
yeah,
the chance to point out there to come close, and the hand kind of grazes her lower back or something like that. Like we're in this together, looking at this third thing. So there's
amen.
all these ways, like the hands go apart, the hands come together, juxtaposing moves
I
of the body.
frame women like this. Top corner of the frame to the bottom. There's 2, 3 women like this. I say, hey, girls, we're having a party today, and I can see the top of her hair to the knee of the one and the third one, and I actually have them in a picture frame, and I can feel it, and they can feel it.
Yeah. So I
There's
haven't
a
seen a
million
lot
things
of
like
your
that
live. I haven't seen a lot of your live What Would Zan Do, but
to
that
come.
was one of the new ones I got, because you were like, I'm not just celebrating you. Oh, you look fantastic tonight, like with the hands just together and low. It's
No, no,
like
no.
it's almost like you're
I'm
holding her
framing.
in a frame. Yeah.
Yeah, look at you. You came on a date with me tonight, and I'm framing her as which is my eyes are diffuse. I don't soul gaze. I'm not a soul gazer. I don't stare at her face. My eyes are diffuse and taken in the whole spectrum, the whole
But you get to
vista.
check out her full body without having to somehow, either
Exactly.
get caught thirsting over
Exactly.
her or
Exactly.
trying to avoid being caught that. So your eyes are actually
Right.
diffuse.
Yeah.
What let's say, what kind of
Incredible.
a difference does it make? Say you got two people, twin brothers, dressed the same, exactly the same energy. They both give their wonderful wholehearted celebration to the woman who comes out. One of them is his hands are just like by his sides or in his pockets. The other one does this whole thing like framing her
Yeah.
like in the corners of a frame.
Which is what
What
I
is
do.
the sorry?
This is what I do. Like this is how
Right.
I'm not coaching men. I don't coach men and say do this, start doing this with your hand. This is what I do, and this is why. And you can do whatever you want. I'm just showing. I'm just going to tell you what I do. You take the lesson you want. I'm not going to coach you.
That's the
I'm
wood,
going to
and
show
what
you
would Zan do? What I would do is something like this.
exactly.
You
That's what I would do.
you guys choose in your ideal universe if you would also be doing things like that, but this is what I would be doing in a hypothetical universe.
My goodness.
So
It's
let's say someone does this. I want to finish my question with you. Let's say someone does this. What's the qualitative
well.
difference that framing her in your arms actually makes?
I tell you, because there's a nuance around that. Because I get the guys to stand up. Okay, now I want you to frame these two girls. They're sitting on chairs. Say, hello, girls. I never saw you before. Okay. I want it more of a ta-da, as opposed to the guys just go like this. Hi, girls. And I'm softening it and making it more like a fluidity of like, and man, they try it 3 or 4 times and they finally get it. But it's really unnatural for them to do that. And so
Yeah.
they really just go, okay, so like this, and it's fun and it's a lot of fun. Our exercises are hilarious and fun, and the girls love it. The girls fall in love with the guys, and it just it's the best thing I've ever done because it now showed it's the only practical thing I've ever shown, I think. And I just and the good thing is if I say, okay, here I'm going to coach you how to do this, then it's not good. But if I say that I'll just show you what I would do if I was single and I saw these three girls. This is what I would. This is how I would approach it. This is how I'd say hi. This is how I'd get their names. This is how I'd turn my back to them. This is how I'd turn back to them. This is how I'd go in and out. This is how I would move my hands. You do what you want because this is me. This is what I've come to develop into my world of life. I do it unconsciously now, but I can break it down consciously, which is remarkable. Because a lot of the guys out there that are quote unquote good with women, you ask them what they do. I don't know, just be yourself. They have no descriptors to talk about what they actually are doing mechanically, emotionally, vibrationally. They don't know. I've had Kelly on stage as many times, and I say, Kelly, remember that time? And Kelly's been to a lot of women, right? Kelly, remember that time you had met that girl and you said you did this? He goes, I did that, really? I'm not sure. He has no clue what he did. No clue. He's not tapped into the. That's my skill set above all. The greatest thing that I have, I think I remember. I'll tell this quickly. When I was in the corporate world and I was working in the IT department, I'm a computer nerd, man. I will sit 16 hours in the basement and try and debug code in the server room, messing around with things, learning new protocol. I just love like messing around with computers and code and stuff like that. But I also understand it. But I'm also okay in a boardroom. I can also and I would have these computer consultants, computer companies coming to upgrade our servers and sell the software and whatever. And I'd be in the boardroom with them, and they would after the meetings they would try and headhunt me because they said, you know what, you have remarkable. He said you're not just bullshitting in the boardroom. You know what you're talking about, and you can talk about it on the level of people who don't understand it, and you can sit down with the guys that are deeply buried in the server room. You can do both worlds, and it's the same thing. It's my skill set when it comes to this interaction with women. I can be out there actually doing these things and learning it and embodying it. But I now know how to describe it as well. I can tell the code underneath it. And
Yeah.
most of the guys who we say natural, they can't tell the code. They have no clue.
Well, a lot of people in any domain, they spend their whole lives and they arrive in unconscious competence, right? Which
Unconscious
is the
competence.
final stage of mastery and learning. But then you've come from that and you are like, no, I got to make my competence, which is unconscious, conscious again in a way that I can then describe it and pass it on. So it's kind of like a fifth stage
Yeah,
in that cycle.
because I'm fascinated by it. So I'm super observant. I learned my observance because I was too nervous to talk to women or to be dynamic in a social setting. But I had FOMO, so I would always go to every social setting that there was. If there's anything happening, I was there by myself, standing there, observing the scene, trying to look cool. And so I learned from my 10,000 hours of standing in venues, the flow and the feel and the dynamic. And I would contemplate it the next day and assess it. So not only did I learn the actual ways of it, but I learned how to describe what is really happening underneath. What is the and and it breaks down into quantum energy basically, but like a vibration.
in the
The
end.
vibration of your voice is the most incredible thing for women, and that's why it doesn't matter what you say. And sometimes my opening line, and I demonstrate this, is silence. How would you open it? How would you open up with silence? You don't say a word, and you still are saying volumes. So there's so much, and I'm not trying to promote my what would Sand do because it fills up. But in fact, I can't do it as much as I want to, and I can't do more than 10 guys at a time because it doesn't scale. We want to run through the exercises. My voice can't hold up for 3 weeks. Um, but it's like I said, it's the most practical thing I've ever shown. That's why I'm having a real jolly old time. And I've done it for the last couple of years now, the live version with pure exercises, no philosophy. Well, lots of stories and, some philosophy comes out of it, but it's just exercise driven. It's a lot of fun. I don't know how long I can sustain doing it, but um, it's the best thing I've ever done. You should come and be part of it. There's things in there that are described now, Jordan, that you intuitively know, but you'll see behind the veil and you go, oh, holy mackerel, now that makes a lot of sense. You should come.
Practice some things, get uncomfortable again, do some things that are not natural to my body and see if I can stretch around and pick up a
You'd
couple of
have
new
a
things.
you'd have a blast, Jordan. You would have a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
But I remember the one afternoon that I saw just how funny it became with the two girls who, like, by the time the 10th guy practices the thing on them, they're not only laughing, but they feel the whole energy of, a man standing in a certain way, gesturing in a certain way with his awareness on them, um, creates a lot of energy in the women. I'm not surprised they have a really
The
good time when
guys
they feel safe
the guys
to
become
explore.
really really close to the women, and the women become close to them because we go through this thing together. They're nervous and they're laughing and they're getting the energetic. The thing I give most, I think, is permission for men to be boys again. Like I've got here, the last one I just finished. All the 10 guys signed a card, which I won't show any details. Back the card. They signed a card to me, and they wrote a card to the women individually, each of them too. That helped because they were so touched and moved by and me too. I'm taking notes the whole time because this is on the cutting edge. It's on the cutting edge. It's the best thing there is in the world, I think, when it comes to this just touching this nuance of understanding for men. So it sounds like a big infomercial here, and I don't mean it like that. It's just I get excited about it. And what my whole reason to bringing up this whole what would Xander think is I'm trying to write it. I can capture this in writing. I dream about it day and night. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning here. I slept in my studio on my couch. Had calls late last night. I slept in my studio on the couch in here, and I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, just burning, champing at the bit to get back at what I'm trying to capture, and it's not easy. But I'll get it if I just keep poking it. But that's why it's so difficult, and that's why I didn't just pound out a book. Because I can't write a book that's just practical steps. Here's do this, then she says that. Let's do that. Trying to capture the magic and the mystique, which is what we started this whole podcast with it, which is what we've been talking about the last all these episodes, which is archetype, how you show up in the world. Mystique is your vibration of your voice. It's your way you dress. It's how you make them feel.
Yeah, so having covered all of this, what is the most mystique rich, mystical aspect of what you cover in your what would Zan do? You know, showing it to the guys, being in the moment yourself with a woman. Like,
Uh,
what is so? What is the
tension,
mystique in this? Okay.
tension. To not just sit there and like fill up the air with the radio. You know, we don't want to have radio silence. It's a bad thing. To be able to say something and shut up, smiling, is incredible because the tension sits in the music. It's Keith Richards said it's not the notes I'm playing, it's the tension between the silence when you're waiting for that next note. And so it's a sexual tension, it's a charged tension, it's a energetic tension, and our tendency is to release it and to blather, and which is all this, so how many pets do you have, and you go to university around here, and we just flew. It's not bad. At least you're talking to her. But Mystique, you have to give her something to dream about, or you're just another guy. That's why you get a girl on Instagram. You have a nice conversation with her. She's pretty. She gives you your Instagram. You're like, okay, high five your buddies. Next day you send a message. Hey, I was the guy in the red shirt. Blah blah blah. And she comes back with one word answer that says, "Hello," or thank you, or whatever. And then you come back with another long message and there's nothing. It's called what we call ghosting. And you're ghosted because you didn't engender an air of mystique into the air in the interaction. You can't do it on your Instagram now. You can't you're just trying to have some mystique here. You can't do it. You're just another guy that's texting her. So how do you bypass that? How do you launch past that? And how do you do it in the first 30 seconds of meeting her? Because Mystique, I wrote entire essays on Mystique. I'm writing in the book, and I share it with my What Would Zan Do guys. The idea that Mystique has to have the sense that you're not 100% available because you're mythic. There's some part of you that she can never understand or never be a part of because your eyes are on the horizon and you like her. You understand? So there's a mythical part of you that is not completely available to her, which is, in other words, you're not texting her every 10 minutes. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, sorry. So you couldn't make the date on Thursday. Can you make it on Friday? Text. She's giving you one word answers back. There's no archetypal mythopoetic essence of you in that at all. That's one component of mystique, is that it has to be some kind of availability in you, unavailability in you, because your eyes are going this direction on the horizon.
So it's
And yet,
not manufactured unavailability, like, oh, he's emotionally
wait,
unavailable, and then you get some woman wrapped up in that in a codependent thing. There's a big
yeah,
conversation about that. So it's not emotional unavailability, but there's a sense like just tying some of your concepts together, have an adventure that's not her. Other people have called it, have a purpose
yeah.
and transcendental purpose that is bigger than you and beyond you. Keeps your eyes on the horizon. Even if your purpose is, I want to go traveling, and literally that's the next thing I'm going to do when I get the money. There's a facet of your spirit that's tied up with this thing on the horizon. Therefore, the ups and downs with her in a conversation don't somehow ripple the deepest waters within you.
So
Just kind of
yes,
translating in. Yeah.
yeah. So the two components of mystique. There's probably more, which I'll flesh out as I write. But two that stand in my mind is this idea that you're not one. There's some part of you, like I said, is mythopoetic and it's unavailable to her. She can never be part of that. She can only dream after it. She can only be drawn into your spirit. Okay, and which is a larger than life quality. She's not going to text you back on Instagram unless there's something mysterious about you or something larger than life. It's not artificial unavailability, like you said. I wait 3 days and now I'm mysterious. No, not at all. It's got to be something that when you first meet her, there's something in the gravitas of the way you describe yourself, the vibration of voice, the way you say hello, the way you look at her, that captures her in a way that other men are not doing. And imagine I wrote that sentence I just said into a book. Guys are gonna say, okay, how? How do I do that? Which is part of the eye contact. Look, I talk to women on the side of my eyes, the side of my mouth. My hands are in motion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a hand on the chest element. So it's you got to have. If she's not going to dream about you, if you're just a guy that in a t-shirt and shorts and flip flops, that got her Instagram in the bar last night. You know, she might be horny and there's nobody else around, and you look good, and you know, to her, you're maybe her type, and maybe hook up with her, or maybe you marry her. Okay, but I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about what is that spirit of men that we've lost, which women dream about and long for, and it's a larger than life quality, and it's your eyes are on a different horizon. So that's the mystique quality, because otherwise she has nothing to dream about. If you sit there, if you go for a walk in the park with her and you feed the ducks on your first date, or you meet her, hey, let's insta date, which is anathema to me. Like, to me, walk around with a girl in the park and talk about her, the ducks, and get some balloons, and let's eat some popcorn. To me, that's, guys love that kind of a date. I can't do it. I can't walk around with a girl and do rapport, get to know her, um, for an hour, because it drains away any mystique. There's no, there's no, there's no winking mystery. You know, I can't imagine ever going on a date with a girl I just met in the daytime in the park. That's me. And I always say to the guys, this is what would Zan do, because guys love to go in the park and meet girls, and they're walking their dog. And I get it. I get it. You might have this wonderful relationship with a girl. Ignore what I'm saying, but this is what would Zan do. Me, I want the electricity of the mystique element. I'm looking for that.
You said there were two aspects to Mystique, and one was to have a way that you're some part
Well,
of you, and the middle part of you is unavailable because your eyes are on something on the horizon. So you're wrapped up in an adventure that's bigger than her. That's one dimension to the Mystique.
well,
Did you mention the other one?
I kind of blended it,
Yeah.
because I
Okay.
would, the first one is, um, this, some part of you is not available. You're not completely available all the time. You're not the one texting 3 times and she texts once. That's offside. Guys, they're trying to be funny, and they're trying to put a bunch of smiley faces, and she one or two word answers back, and it's offside. There's no, there's, you're too available. Okay. Um, so this being unavailable in some aspect and having a larger than life quality, which is myth and poetic side of you. It, that's the two things I was trying. I kind of blended it together, but she's got to dream about what you represent. You might not be the tallest guy, the most good looking guy she's met, the richest, but there's something in the spirit of you that she's longing for, that she wishes she had too. And she wants to be caught up. And I met this, she talks to her girlfriends, and
Okay.
I met this guy last night, and I can't stop thinking about him, because he's not the tallest, he's not in shape. There's something about him I can't stop thinking. That's what I'm trying to capture.
So this is more the kind of how the archetype of the man materializes in the moment, with everything to do with the hands, everything to do with the voice and the gestures, everything to do with what we talked about last time with the choice of clothes, and the story that he tells as a person is this. This is the side. It's like, there's the
100%.
something. Okay.
All of these things make up this mythopoetic side of man that we don't have. We're so just rapport driven, vulnerability. We think of, and we dump all our problems and all our issues, and there's we don't keep our own counsel, and have this kind of, there's all of these things are all wrapped up into that whole idea of mystique, archetype, everything we talked about. It's all little tiny fragments of it, and if you get that, you get everything.
Okay, so there's two sides to the Mystique coin that I hear about in your terminology of it, right? You've got the Mystique, which is some part of him is unavailable. He's on a sense of mythic quest, and he's wrapped up in something that's bigger than everything else in the universe,
Right.
and he's just like this force going forward. And then the other side of it is when you're with this person in present with the person in real life, there's something effervescent about their character, the way they move, dress, tell stories, something about their life force when it's here. Now, if you've got all that stuff, the dress, the entertainment, the quality, the larger than life stuff in the moment, but you have no overarching thing, when a woman gets to know you for a while, you become the dandy in the friend group, but there's not really anything of you that is evolving into something else.
Funny guy.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
right. So you kind of you're you're very impactful for a while, but since you don't change or evolve, you kind of stagnate, and then you get stuck in a bit of a caricature. But then
Yes.
you can go on and meet another woman and another woman, or the rest of it do the same larger than life thing, but you'll be going around in circles eventually. Or let's say you're on a huge mythic adventure, and you're so much on a mythic adventure that you don't even tell stories or have a laugh or dress up or channel something in the moment with her, then you're such a deep man, that she's not having that great a time when you're around. You're very deep and very going
You're,
somewhere.
you're
But
so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good.
there you go.
You're floating on your mountain, floating up higher on your mountain, and there's
But
nothing,
no earthly good.
which is why we always
Right.
talk about Ars Amorata. The whole philosophy we've embodied is the realization and the enjoyment and the love, the idea that we're heading toward the sacred as best we can, and we're profane at the same time. Sacred and profane. We are both. We're not. People become all enlightened and holy, and now they're floating, and they turn away from things of the earth, or they're of the earth and they're cussing and drinking and swilling it and all this kind of stuff, and there's no lofty thoughts in them. But we're both. We can quote Rilke and Bukowski in the same breath.
I, the word that mentioned a word a few times, and I got really stuck on it. Like, I was putting a lot of thought into the word dream, with nothing to dream about or to have something that she can dream about. I was watching, like I said last time, went down the rabbit hole with some of the fashion and style videos, and I was watching something about Ralph Lauren,
Okay,
American brand. One of our members actually said he had a T-shirt from Ralph Lauren, like I talked about my
all right,
magic T-shirt that always unlocked every opportunity I had. He had a Ralph Lauren T-shirt. He said did the same thing. But
talisman.
this is a brand that was kind of dying, right? It was losing relevance and popularity, and then now it's coming back, right? So the new generation, young people starting to love the polo brand and whatever. And I watched a video, and the interviewer was like, "What signaled the turnaround in your brand? Because other brands were going up for a long time, and now they're crashing." It's interesting. Right now, there's a lot of brands that you think are very popular. Now they're crashing.